Hi, Sean Green here at SoccerCoachTV. Sorry about that. We thought we were live for the first part of the show. We were not, and we will go live right now. Danny, I just want to make a quick announcement. So I'm going to bounce you out there for a second. And welcome to the SoccerCoachTV Christmas show. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for the show. We've got a great show planned. We got a couple of guests. Dan Gaspar, the world-renowned goalkeeper, coach, and educator. Fantastic guy, unbelievable. You're going to get goosebumps listening to Dan Gaspar. I'll talk about him in a minute. We've got Mike Grudge, famous musician, funk band, brass construction. Mike has had a little technical difficulties. He's trying to get on live with us right now. Danny's going to be coming on first. We're going to celebrate it. And what I'd like to share with you, I'm from Newcastle, England, where I came from. It was a great upbringing, tough town in Wallsend. I worked in the shipyards, but when I was a little kid, I was a family from 10. We didn't have much money at Christmas. We got some selection boxes. We got a couple of little things. I think the best one of the presents I got was a Batman suit when I was 10. But, my dad, we didn't have much money. When I was in middle school, my dad had to buy all my clothes at the Army and Navy surplus store. And the Army and Navy surplus stores where you get really cheap old military uniforms. But it was cheap. I had no clothes. I just saw this picture here. I just want to tell you, even though I had to wear the Army and Navy surplus store stuff, I tell you, I was the best dressed Japanese admiral in the class. I was so proud of myself. Second thing, there's a great Geordie lad out there who follows SoccerCoachTV. Before we start the show, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize what a special day it was for him. We got Paul Newsome. Paul Newsome is a great lad. He's a fan of SoccerCoachTV, a phenomenal coach, runs PN coaching there in the UK. Just want to wish him a very special birthday, Paul. You're a great friend, and I appreciate it. I hope you have a great time with your birthday today. Say hi to Lewis for me, will you? Thank you. So, yeah, 1 second. Let me just check what's happening. Go. Oh. So, the first guest, Dan Gaspar. Let me tell you a little about Dan Gaspar. Can you imagine, and I know some coaches are watching here, can you imagine what it would take you to get to the highest level of football? To be a coach in the World Cup, maybe not just one, but two. And not only that, be on the same practice field every day with Ronaldo. Can you imagine what it takes to get there? And Danny Gaspar doesn't imagine this stuff. He does it. He's experienced that. He's went through it. He has been the most successful coach in U.S. history. He's coached on 4 continents with the best players in the world. He's proved his worth time and time again. I'm going to tell you that I know Dan personally, and Dan is the most organized, the most inspirational coach I know. You're going to meet with him. Let's bring it on for Dan Gaspar. Dan, welcome to SoccerCoachTV Christmas show, my friend. I'm so glad you
and SoccerTV show. Cheers to all you guys.
I've got my SoccerCoachTV mug here. I'll have to send you one after the show, Danny. Brother, you look younger every time I see you. You know that?
Thank you. I appreciate it, Sean. It's great to be on with you and your listeners. What a great thing that you've put together for the soccer community internationally. It's really impressive. Congratulations.
I appreciate that, Danny. And I just want to know what's in that glass you're drinking, because you look like you're 42. You never age. That sucks. You know what I'm saying? That sucks. I want some of that. Geez, I'm 62 now, and you feel it. Danny, you told me before, how do you sleep? Do you sleep well at night?
Well, I haven't recently because, as you know, I did my knee replacement 4 weeks ago. But prior to that, I slept like a baby.
So, Danny, listen, I know you were actually on one of my first shows about 14 years ago.
Correct. I do. I was at the University of Hartford office, and you came in with your crew and put together an incredible interview.
And, that was one of the it was a pioneer at the time. Nobody was doing that.
Absolutely. I've always said that to anybody that's asked me about Sean Green, and you are a pioneer and you always had a great vision. And here we are today, 14 years later, and you have one of the biggest coaching communities in the world.
Yeah, Danny, it's been amazing, but at the time, even not so much now, but at the time when you think about this, all these football shows we watch on TV, and the only time you really see an insight, or back then insight into a coach, was a 2-minute interview after a game. You know, there was no show. You think how popular the world's most popular sport. There is no TV show dedicated on a weekly basis to coaching, right? That I'm aware of. That features it, and it's surprising. I just thought they would have been there by now. Danny, is that the World Cup I see behind you? What the hell is that? Do you get a copy of the World Cup when you in the World Cup? They give everybody one. What is it? I love that, Dan. That's absolutely brilliant, son.
You know what? It's a replica, obviously. Let me put it back to the shelf. But it's an interesting story. Back in 2011, I was working with the Iran national team, and I was in Qatar scouting for the Iran national, scouting the Asian tournament, the Asian Cup of teams that we were going to be playing. And during my journey into the city, I encountered a shop that was selling World Cup replica trophies. And I decided at the time, let me grab one. And this was in 2011, 2012. And ironically, I brought this everywhere we were as a unit, as a team. During the meals, it was on our table. In the locker room, it was in the middle of the locker room. It really became a symbol of unity, a symbol of inspiration. Players would kiss it before they go on the pitch during the qualifying process. Until we got to the last match that we needed to win in South Korea.
Sorry, Danny, this was with Iran?
Yes, with the Iran national team. And we were in Seoul to play South Korea national team. We had to win in order to qualify for the World Cup. The odds were tremendously against us. They had a quality team. It was away from home. The stadium was packed. And I took the replica trophy that I purchased in Qatar 3 or 4 years prior to the qualification, and I had it in my bag on the bench. Nobody knew that. And then once we were able to win the game, our goalkeeper Rahman was tremendous. Gucci scored the only goal, the winning goal, 1-0. And after the match, I gave the trophy to Coach Queiroz. And along with him and the players, they all circled the field with it. It was just a magical moment, knowing that this replica, a symbol that united us, that bonded us, that allowed us to dream and to hope and to aspire to one day be the motivation to qualify for the World Cup, was just so thrilling for me and so enjoyable. And that's the backstory of this replica World Cup trophy.
That's awesome, Danny. I remember when you coached with me. You're my assistant coach that year. We won one game. Remember that, Danny?
Never forget it.
Hey, how can you only win one game with the two best coaches in this planet, right?
Right? That's impossible, but it happened. It was reality.
But we remember the last game. We won the last game of the season. The team we played, Quinnipiac, got a guy sent off. Went down to 10 men. We managed to score, and it was like winning the World Cup, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
But I remember that season too, because like the World Cup you have there, you brought in a suit of armor. Do you remember that? It was like a night owl wearing.
Oh, yes.
Thing.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah. Danny is incredibly creative and innovation every time. Something.
I didn't know you were going to do this.
There you go. We had that in the locker room.
Here he is. Say hello.
Danny,
you know, I had forgotten about that, but you could see I save everything.
I never forget those moments. You know, I mean, that's it. I just, imagine, Danny, the experiences you've had and how indelible that some of your input has been with players and carried on to all different levels of that. I do want to ask you before I forget this question. Danny, you've been with the best of the best, okay? Reenact for us who are watching, right, and the fans who are watching right now, reenact for us, because they haven't had the privilege of being in the locker room with Ronaldo or with Iran or out, all over the world. You've been all over the world. Reenact for me for a second. Look at my popcorn. The best moment in the locker room, the most inspiring moment. I know there's probably been many, but pick one inspiring moment in the locker room from a coach that has sent chills up your back reenact that team talk for us. What was it?
I mean, you're right. There's so many, and I haven't really reflected back that far on a question that's so profound and so deep. But a couple of things pop into my mind. I remember being with Benfica, one of the biggest clubs in the world, in Lisbon, and we were playing Champions League. And we were in São Siro, one of the most magnificent stadiums. I love that stadium. Although it's old, it's built like a fishbowl. I mean, the stadium stands go up like this, and everybody's just looking down. It's a very intimidating environment. And Antonio Camacho was our coach at the time, and he was a famous player for Real Madrid and coached the Spanish national team and was a head coach of Benfica at the time. And Benfica's roster compared to Inter Milan was minuscule. I mean, probably one player's salary at Inter Milan encompasses the entire roster of Benfica. The thing that I admire so much about Camacho was his fearlessness, was his level of confidence in the players that he trained and coached and prepared. And I just remember, usually we get into a circle, right? Everybody has their arms around each other, forming a circle. Either the captain or the coach would say a few words. But in this particular day, Antonio Camacho got into the center of the circle while we were all surrounding him. And in that moment, his speech was so inspiring, just basically saying that no matter who we play, that he had total confidence, total trust, and conviction in the players that were in that circle, despite who we were playing. And he said it with such passion, such belief. Our players left the locker room with an incredible gladiator spirit of taking on Inter Milan. We ended up losing the match. I believe it was 3-2 or 4-3. But the confidence in which we played, the fearlessness in which we performed, was just amazing. And it was all a result of Camacho knowing what to say at the right moment. And as I said, he never got into the center of the circle before. So just his mere presence was in that center circle. The other thing that happened to me that I'm just recalling as I'm speaking about the Benfica was recently, in fact, this year, a few days ago, Porto played in Japan against Once Caldas. It was an intercontinental match. It was the best of Europe, European champions against the South American champions. Us, FC Porto being European champions, and FC Caldas being the South American champions. It was played in Japan, 45, 50,000 people. And Victor Bahia was our goalkeeper. And he was number one in the world, ranked in the top 6 of the world at that time. Number one in Europe, I should say. Top 6 in the world. Had gone down unconscious on the field during the match. Nuno Espírito Santos was the backup coach, who's now coaching in the Premiership for the Wolves, was asked to come in. As they were taking Victor Bahia off into a stretcher, Nuno was, as you can imagine, panicking, nervous, to be called on at a moment's notice in probably the biggest game of his life. And it was amazing because of the partnership that we had, the belief and the confidence that I had in him, how we embraced each other, and the moments that we had alone just before he entered the field. And in those moments were the moments of encouragement and confidence and belief. We ended up winning the game in a penalty shootout. And certainly Nuno was one of the key factors for that victory and for allowing us to raise the club's Champions Trophy. So those are 2 brief stories that I wanted to share with you, Sean. Thanks for the question.
Danny, phenomenal. I mean, Danny, when's your book coming out? Come on.
You know, my dad passed away a few years ago, but I had promised him prior to that I would be writing a book. He wanted to write a book. He always did. He had an amazing story as an immigrant from Portugal, chasing the American dream. but he never got a chance to complete it. So I made a promise to him, and I'm going to devote the book that I'm writing now in his honor. When it's going to come out, I don't have a set date. Writing is probably the biggest challenge of my life. To sit down and to write your life lessons, your journey, your experiences over such a lengthy career is not an easy task. Luckily for me, I save everything during that period of time. So looking back at newspaper articles and photos and trophies and et cetera sparks my memory to sit down and write. So we'll see when the day will come, but I'm excited about it. I have a lot of support. A lot of people are advising me. A lot of people have encouraging me. So I think I have a story to tell, and it's a story full of drama, setbacks, dropping to your knees, bouncing back up, rejections, refusals. But I just kept believing in myself, having confidence, pursuing my dreams and my ambition. And above all, Sean, I didn't do it alone. I was surrounded by people like you, people who believe. You gave me an opportunity at Central Connecticut State University. You didn't have to do that. Very few head coaches would hire someone of my experience to collaborate with their staff. And you did that because of the confidence you had in your ability. So I've been grateful to be surrounded by people who believed in me, gave me confidence, shared their wisdom and experiences with me, allowed me to dream, support my dreams, offer opportunities, nurture, guide me. And it's really a tribute to them. My career is a result, direct result of people I've been fortunate to be surrounded. Now, my mission and my tribute to them who've impacted my life is to try to impact others.
Yeah. Danny, I could talk with you for hours. Yeah, we're not letting you off that easy because I got a lot more questions to ask you, my friend. But you know what? One of my favorite people in the world have just entered the house here.
Right.
And Mike, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Sean.
Hey, I love that t-shirt, that sweater, brother.
Hey, I had to get in the groove just like you, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, let me see if I can get Mike. Can you move your chair over a bit so we can see you in the center of that camera? And let me just change this. Mike from Brass Construction.
Hey, guys.
Let me tell you about Mike. Danny, I've known Mike for a long time now. I'm a big fan. And I loved his music even before I knew he was, in the band. And I'm going to talk a little bit about his band. But I got to tell you, if Mike's talent as a musician was snow, we would be digging out for months, Danny. Let me tell you that. We'd be digging out for months.
Don't talk about snow to me tonight. I was digging snow out yesterday, and we got about 15 inches, 16 inches of snow where I lived. And sure enough, as soon as I used the snowblower, in about 30 minutes, it conked out, so I had to use manpower. And my back is killing me now. So, hey, snow.
You know what it is? I love snowstorms because it forces everybody just to slow down, And I like that. I like that. I think it's good. Many people have a bad relationship with time.
Yeah.
Danny. They have a bad relationship with time. They don't have enough time or they have too much time. They don't get that balance in their life. And I was really happy to hear what you said, Dan, just before about looking for that balance now. You two guys are pretty old compared to me. I mean, right?
Hey.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know if we should accept that, man.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
You can gang up on me all you want. I got some elves.
Right, let's gang up on me.
I got some Geordie elves outside. They'll take care of business.
Uh-oh.
So, Mike, listen, I'm a fan of yours. Danny, I'm going to tell you real quick. I met Mike at the National Convention. I'd met him before then, recruiting his players or on the road recruiting. We bumped in. He's from England, man from England. We talked, and we're at the National Convention I think it was in Baltimore, one of those places, Philadelphia. I went to the bar to have a beer. Mike was sitting the other end of the bar, and I recognized him from, me being on the road. I went over, said hi. We started talking in depth. And then I think Mike asked me what my hobbies were, and I told him, and I asked him, and he taught me music, and he was telling me about the band he was in, and it was a band I liked from the 70s, right? The Brass Construction in the 70s were leading the disco era. They've had platinum and gold records. They were number 14 in the charts. Let me tell you, they've been on programs such as Soul Train, Danny. tons of
One of my
times.
favorite shows. Those lines, and they're coming down and dancing in between. I love
I
it.
would love to do that.
Cornelius, wasn't the guy? The guy was Cornelius, right?
Dan Cornelius, great guy. Yeah, late Dan Cornelius. Yes, great guy.
Let me just bring up a couple of things here. So we've got. Tell me a little bit about talking about Don Cornelius. Tell me a little bit about this guy.
Oh man, probably one of the nicest guys in entertainment. He's phenomenal when it comes to talent, obviously of his show. One of my memories about him was that when we did achieve a platinum record, we were then on United Artists label, which is now Capitol Records. He presented us a platinum record on Soul Train, and that was a big affair. After there was a reception, and really cordial. Went to the reception. One thing came to mind. I was wearing a tie that had a scorpion in the tie, and then I walked up to him, and we were there having a drink, and he says, "Hey man, I like that tie. Where'd you get that tie?" And I started to tell him, hey, I was in Arizona, and the Indians over there make the tie, and we went on and on and on, and he was just one of those guys you could talk to him about anything.
Was Soul Train his invention? Was that his?
Yeah. He started Soul Train I believe in Chicago, where he started. They had a studio there and did his pilot shows there, and then later on, moved into LA and got really big. Yeah. But he's talented. We could go on and on about all the talent that he quote unquote discovered or help get on the way. You could name it.
You realize that we've got fans on right now from Italy, from Argentina, from the UK, from the United States. We've got people from all over the world watching this show right now. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. You've traveled around the world.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
you guys are huge in France.
Yeah, that's probably one of our biggest markets. We did a lot of shows there. At famous clubs and stuff. In the news with the Bataclan Club. Remember about the tragedy there? We played there. We played all over France.
And just some of the people, just for the fans who are watching here, the Christmas show. Just some of the people that Mike has played with. He's played with the Jacksons. Right?
Sure.
Unbelievable, the Jacksons. It's like saying, "Hey, I played with Liverpool." I played with Man United. Playing with the Jacksons is the same. Played with the Jacksons. Played with the OJs. Oh my God! And you know what? I'm so jealous because my favorite band, or at least I would say in the top 3 of my bands that I love, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh yeah. A few shows.
And the Commodores.
Yep. Commodores. Lionel Richie, he's a good chess player. I started with him on a little chess thing one time, just backstage, and he was pretty good. Yeah.
And I know a secret about you. You have the same accountant as Bob Marley did.
Yeah. Oh, the late Marvin Zoll. He's a legend in the music business.
Danny, what if set the romantic mood for us, brother? You've got a glass of wine. Mary's sitting there. You're at dinner. Candles going. It's 1970. There you go, Danny. What would you be playing on a nice little dinner date with the wife?
I like Motown.
Okay, then you're right up my alley.
I like Motown, man. It's funny. It's funny because, we're talking about music, and I'm into soccer, and I relate, Mike, so much music into our beautiful game of soccer.
Okay, Danny. Before you relate, I want to. Who is it? Who's setting the mood for you and the wife? Come on, 70s.
Who's the guy? Oh my God, who's the guy with the real deep voice?
Barry White, my friend. Barry
White. There he is.
Oh, he sounds like a Marvin Gaye kind of guy, right?
Marvin Gaye's great too.
I tell you what, you put on that Barry White, it's all over. I think you crossed the line.
Danny, did you ever wear those flared bottom pants like Mike had on at Soul?
I had platforms, man, that had a goldfish in the heel. What are you talking about? I had the black.
Oh man, I tried walking in them. If I tried that now, my ankle.
It's going to come back at some point. It just goes in one big circle, doesn't it?
It does.
No, I enjoy dancing. I believe it's fast, it's slow, it's big, it's small, just like a soccer game. You know, rhythm is life, and there's nothing better than music.
Yeah. I'm a big Caribbean fan. I love the Caribbean. Barbados is one of my favorite countries to go to. I've been to Bahamas. I've been to Jamaica. But let me tell you something about why I personally believe that the Caribbean players play with a kind of a rhythm, you know, and and even the Brazilian, Danny, because when you go to the Caribbean, when you go to Barbados, the moment you get off the airplane, if you're in a cab, they've got that music on, you know, they've got the beat, the Caribbean beat, the reggae music, whatever. You get out the cab, you hear it on the streets. You go into a store to buy something, you hear it. In the hotel lobby, you hear it. Where do you hear music here in the US? You know, you don't really hear it in a cab much, you know. You don't hear it when you go into Stop and Shop and there's some elevator music. I mean, it's a constant subliminal vibe. When I say it all the time, it's all the time when you go down the Caribbean.
Culture.
So it's kind of subliminal, isn't it? You know, do you think, not think? You agree with that?
Well, I do. I mean, without music in the Caribbean, there's no life. Music is life. You know, it's the rhythm. Depending upon what mood you're in, the music brings you back to reality. It's if you're sad, you listen to a nice reggae beat or whatever, it brings you back. Or if you want ska, you want happy, you want to jump, you bring in that beat. So yeah, it's part of life. And you're 100%, Sean, right, with everywhere.
You know, Bob Marley was a great footballer too, you know.
Oh yeah. All the way. I mean, he's legendary in terms of playing in the Caribbean leagues, you know, where there wasn't pro leagues. From my understanding, he could have been a pro, but there were no pro leagues. So he used just to any game he would be there playing. Yeah. Even in the US, if there's a pickup game or whatever, he would be playing. I've heard so many stories about him.
Some of the musicians too. I met Rod Stewart. You know, I spent a day with him.
I heard he's very good. This is what I hear.
Very, very good. We hosted the Scottish national team at my training ground where I coached, and I was kind of like the liaison there. So I had to meet Rod Stewart one-on-one, and so we kicked the ball around for about half an hour. He pull his limo up on the field. He come out. I got in goal. He's taking shots. It was great. And back then, his jersey that he was doing a video shoot there too, and he trained with the Scottish national team, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I've heard stories too. You know, and he used to do pickup games in California area, you know, for charity and that type of stuff. And
you know who else? Another musician who was huge on football, Elton John.
Yeah. Wasn't he an owner?
He was owner of the band Watford, I think.
Yeah.
Watford Town. They were, you know, in the bottom lower levels. He's sunk in a load of cash. He's a massive.
I bumped into him a couple of times in London. We did a show, and he came to see one of the shows. We were there.
Mike, I got a couple. Let me ask Mike a question. Danny, I'm going to get back to you in a second. I know because I've got questions that were sent to me from some of the fans too to ask you, but I did ask Danny this. I'm going to ask you the same thing, Mike. Obviously, there's got to be so many. If you perform with all those guys and everything, and just reenact for the people who are watching. We got a ton of people watching right now. Reenact for them if you can. And I know it's hard to choose one. One special moment in your musical career that you could share with us.
Oh, one special moment. There's so many, but just recently it came up Glastonbury Festival that's in UK, and on that show it was a phenomenal show. I mean, but I remember maybe about 100,000 people there, and there were everybody there from Joan Baez all the way I believe at that time, Sex Pistols and all that type of stuff. But I met some really great musicians, and I just felt that it was like an amazing experience, and that stands out in mind. And I also played Madison Square Garden. And
wow, are you kidding?
Yeah, we did. We played Madison Square Garden, and on that show there was Commodores, Jacksons. That was an amazing feeling just to see, those wonderful entertainers.
Well, I know you and both you and Danny. I'm going to go over to Danny next, but you guys have met a lot of famous people.
Yeah,
okay? And I'm very impressed by that. But I just got to say, you're not the only one who's met some famous people.
Oh, really?
I'm going to share with you some of my special moments with some famous people. Well, back in the 60s, remember the Beatles?
Yeah.
They were Liverpool FC of the 60s.
Wow.
But you don't know this, but I did spend a while at Sullivan's show when I was a young kid with the Beatles.
Yo, look at that.
That's when I was just a young kid. Remember that?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
The only one who's music.
Impressive.
And then recently, my claim to fame is I just got auditioned for E.T. Part 2, the movie. That's going to be out in a couple of months. That's going to be out on Netflix. But probably the highlight of my year was with Bradley and Lady G at the Oscars when we went out. Yeah, that was really crazy time. But Danny, let me ask you, my friend. It's amazing what you can do with Photoshop. You know what I'm saying?
Impressive.
Hey, let me just pull this up because Danny, coaches out there who follow Soccer Coach TV, some great coaches, and what have you noticed is the difference between being a good college coach or a professional coach to Nick in the world stage in the World Cup? What have they got that all these professional coaches don't have? All these really good experienced coaches. What is the one thing that you've noticed? Because you've been around a lot of them.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate and blessed to be surrounded by great people, and the best ones. Their attention to detail is phenomenal in all aspects, off the pitch, on the pitch. Their work ethic is incredible. Their attention to detail is crystal clear. They know where they want to go. They know how to get there, and they lead as an example. I mean, back in 1994, I was in Tampa with Coach Carlos Queiroz. At the time, U.S. Soccer had hired us as technical consultants to do a deep analysis, travel around the United States to see what the current structure is and what it should be to develop elite players. And I remember one night, Coach Queiroz started around midnight and didn't stop until 3 a.m. and asked me to sit down on the couch, and he just paced back and forth. Because I came from a culture in the United States about the business of soccer. And overseas, it's about the winning business. And those are two different attitudes, two different philosophies. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you don't get a trophy for the business of soccer. In the winning business, it's exclusively about results. And you have to think about that every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, the entire year. That's got to be exclusively your focus and concentration. Unfortunately, sacrificing other aspects of your life, like family and friends.
Well, let me ask you about that, Danny. At what cost? I mean, people look at you, especially in the United States. You're very familiar, household name with coaches in the United States. But I think they don't realize there's a price you must pay for that, Danny.
There is.
What is the price you've paid for international success as a coach?
Missing weddings, birthdays, graduations, funerals, family experiences and moments in particular. The biggest regret that I have is, despite all the travel and all the journeys and all the amazing people and places I've been, I wish that I could have the people closest and dearest with me every step of the way to experience what I experienced through my eyes. But it simply can't be done. One of the biggest moments I had was in the World Cup when we were in Brazil, and the national anthem was playing, and one of the assistant coaches saw my family behind me in the stands, and they were trying to get my attention. And so he pointed them out to me.
That's great.
And I turned and I faced them.
Yeah, that's got to be emotional for you, eh?
And, saw the tears. And it was that moment that I realized, despite all the sacrifice, that, you know what?
Now you're making me cry now, bro.
It was pretty special. But
I'm getting emotional about that, man. I mean, it's one thing experiencing it, Danny. Come on, you're making me, and I'm tearing. It's one thing to experience it yourself, but when you can share a special moment with that, and your loved ones are there, I mean, that is just
any of us. I'm sure it's
yeah.
Mike was so passionate about his art, his music, and when you're on top of your game, when you're on top and you're at the peak, it requires so much of you, your blood, sweat, and tears, that you just don't have time.
Yeah.
For a normal standard life. I'm in a different phase of my life. I'm in the last chapter of my career. And, I've had a world-class career, but now I want to be a world-class father. I want to be a world-class husband, because I have the time now to devote. You can't make it up. Can't make up that time. That's the past. That's gone. That's history. Can't predict the future. The only thing I can control is right now, this moment. And this moment and this time, I choose to do the best I can for my family.
Well, I mean, anybody who's looking at this show, and they're looking at three blessed people.
I would say so. I've had a great life. I'm not going to complain.
Would you do anything else, Mike, other than what you've done? If you could write back?
I don't think I would have the time. I've had like a good career in music, a good career in coaching, a good career in being a teacher and educator, and I have a beautiful wife, beautiful family, friends. I can't really complain about anything, really.
Mike, I want to talk to you a little bit about for over 20 years plus, you have been in education, correct?
I retired from education 10 years ago, but I taught for 27 years.
And you
impaired, yeah.
So you worked a lot with the blind and disabled?
Blind and visually impaired. That's where I ended up doing for 20 years for the Department of Education in New York City. And it's kind of strange how I got into that field, but a lot of people don't know that about me. But I did that, and I worked
Mike, can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, coming from England, and as a youth, and when my family was immigrating, my mother came to America from Sheffield, England, and I stayed, and I didn't finish school in England when I came over. I thought I was going to play football, or soccer. That was my thing. Mother says, you better get an education while you're here. So I kind of listened to her on that. And even though I went to college, I played at a community college at first, junior New York Technical College, and I went on and played at City College. Ray Klevec was the coach of Division I program. But I always did that because I wanted to stay college eligible so I could play, my 4 years of college. So I kept on doing my degrees. And then, like I told a lot of my players, look, I started in junior college, but when I ended up also at Columbia University doing master's work.
Wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I did that in technology. And then there was a program that was specifically for taking technology to blind and visually impaired students. And I got into that, and I got my degrees in that. And I taught that for EVS, Education Vision Services, for 25 years doing that. I retired from there. But it's an amazing field. A lot of people don't know about it, but I was an itinerant teacher doing that.
Mike, what lesson do you think that working so intensively over a long period of time like that, or maybe a third of your life with the visual impaired and the blind, What was the biggest lesson you learned from them?
Oh man, they taught me so much how to prevail, how to succeed
How?
when everything's against you.
Give me an example. Can you give us an example, Mike?
Well, I'm taking a student, who is totally blind, and he's in high school, and he's studying. He does his work through Braille, and I'm helping him with Braille and this a Braille form called Nemeth code, which is Braille for mathematics. And I started doing that and helping him, and then we used to relax and talk about stuff, and we play chess. And his biggest concern was that he wanted to get into the Ivy League, and he wanted to go to Harvard. And you would figure that this blind kid, and what are all his chances? But the story is, yeah, he got into Harvard, and that tells me if he could do it. I always thought I could do anything, because it's an amazing story. But there are many stories just like that, and he could do anything. The disability of the blindness did not hold him back at all. And so, coaching teams and being a coach, that would stick out in my mind. I would just think about all the people, all the kids who never had it as well as I've had it. I always felt I had a tough life when I was, but no, nothing like this. And the accomplishments. So again, relating it back to soccer, and we're in a tough game, and we're fighting for this and fighting for that. And sometimes you just got to think about some people have it worse than you. So don't complain.
Hey, Danny, when you listen to Mike and we think about some of the hurdles that we face on a personal level, right? But also that we see within players on the team, these hurdles we face, this seems so minuscule when you listen to stories like Mike.
Absolutely. It reminds me of an experience that I had, which was life-changing. And I was with the South African national team, and we were playing France. This is back in '98. I mean, France was the world champions and European champions. And we had an opportunity as a team to visit the compound of Nelson Mandela. Yeah. And to sit down in his compound and to listen to his journey of 28, 29 years of incarceration, where the cell was the size of, Sean, if you stood in the middle, Mike, of the cell room, and you raised your arms, you could touch the walls on each side. You're talking about a person who never held a baby in 29 years, didn't listen to a cry or joy or a few minutes outside to celebrate the sun. And then that handshake, he was a former boxer, so to have a thick hand when you shaked his hand, he looked in your eyes, it was like you were the only person on the planet. And I reflect back on that today, just like you do, Mike, when that blind student was able to achieve, going to Harvard, is really our challenges, what we perceive as challenges, are minuscule compared to some of these people who have been put in our lives to make us realize how humble we need to be, and how grateful we need to be for the things that we have.
Yes, true.
Hey, Danny, let me take a chance just to recognize some of our fans who are on the show, because I know I've been on the opposite side, been watching shows, and our fans have took the time to come and watch us. I just want to recommend Des Morris. I played with him in college. Great guy, Jamaican. Let me tell you about Des Morris. We played together in college out in West Virginia. He was one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. But once we got to November, forget it. You couldn't find him because he was from Jamaica. All us Jamaicans and Trinnies, man, they run all day when it's sunshine, but it left all the hard work up to the Geordies and English guys once we got to late October, November. Am I right, Mike, or what?
You're 100% right.
We got Olga Delippi, who was watching. Olga's probably my best friend in his whole planet. He runs CFC Football Club. If it wasn't for Olga's support and his teams, we would not have Soccer Coach TV. Those are the players that you see every week out there working their buns off. Craig Jones from England. Hi, Craig. How are you, my friend? Known him for such a long time, such a great supporter of Soccer Coach TV. We got Rob Lamb down the bottom here. Rob Lamb is a fantastic guy. He was also a guest on Soccer Coach TV probably 12 years ago. Incredible innovator, entrepreneur, great coach. Love that guy. He's fantastic. We got this woman right here, who's my big sister. She's watching. She said, 3 great men. Isn't that, hey, that could be a movie title right there. Hi, Jeanette. I love you, sister. She's in Newcastle right now. I'm sure all my sisters are.
All the Geordies.
With a glass of wine. Who's this lad right here? So we got, that's Cop for that. Coaches on field now, brothers. I don't know Cop for that, but that's a great name. I'm assuming he's a Liverpool fan. What do you think, Danny?
Would make sense.
This one. We got Jimmy Evans. You know Jimmy Evans, Danny?
So we do.
Hey,
Great
Jimmy
guy.
Evans, great coach. I'm going to be on his podcast tomorrow night, and I'll be putting it on Facebook, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Jimmy, thanks for checking in with us. Really appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night, my brother. We got from Eddie. How are you? Thank you for tuning in and watching the show. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. We got a lot of people here. Alex Pina, how are you doing? Thank you very much. And we've got to have Tico, Puerto Rico. He's my friend. I've been trying to get to him for a year and a half now, Danny. The virus, I was supposed to go down there for a week. That knocked it back. Earthquakes knocked it back. I can't wait. Hopefully we're going to be doing a week down there this summer with SoccerCoachTV down in Puerto Rico. We'll talk about some of the other ones. Hey, Danny, question for you. Everybody wants to hear this. You have been up and close with Ronaldo, right? Does he have a nickname to his teammates?
No.
Oh, is it Ronaldo? They call him Ronaldo.
They'll call him Cristiano.
Cristiano. If I was the assistant coach of Portugal and I was in a training camp with Ronaldo,
yes.
Okay, this is what I would do. So I'm going to give you some advice. If you ever get that chance again, okay? When he's out in the training field or he's having a lunch, go to his room, steal all his stuff, right? Shirts, socks, boots, everything. Stick them in a bag. Hey, what happened? It wasn't me. You could sell them for a fortune. Oh, one other thing. I forgot. My brother Kenny is on. I haven't seen him in 10 years, believe it or not. My brother Kenny. He's tuning into the show. I love him so much. He's right there. Hey, Kenny, I love you, brother. We got to talk soon. But, Danny, yeah, you ever thought of stealing his shoes or his socks? Nothing? No, seriously.
Well, I've been fortunate. I didn't have to steal it, but I've asked for many of those items. And, in fact, I've been collecting jerseys right from the beginning. I have over 300 jerseys from, most of the world stars that we all recognize. And actually, I just set up a studio in my house to begin to take photos of each one of them. And of course, Cristiano, I have a few, and those are very precious. But Cristiano's a special guy. I remember one day I was in a steam room with him and Eusebio.
Oh, Daddy, we don't want to hear those kind of stories, son.
It seems like every story I have, I'm in a steam room.
We don't want to hear the sweaty, steamy stories about you and Cristiano in the steam room. We don't want to hear that.
All right.
You just want football stories, brothers. You pervert. Come on, what's going on with you?
But anyways, I said, hey, what motivates you? And he goes, winning. I said, but you've won everything. And that was a time where he was getting transferred from Man U to Real Madrid. What really motivates you? I then asked. And he goes, I want to be the best. I want to be the best of all times. I want to be the best in history. So many athletes that we train want to be the best, but how many say they want to be the best ever? And that's what motivates him every minute, day, week, month, and entire year. And he surrounds himself with the best people. First one in training, last one to leave. We were in South Africa at the World Cup. Carlos Queiroz gave the team a break. They went into Johannesburg. I'm walking around the compound. I stick my head into the gym, and who's there? Cristiano Ronaldo. So
of course he was there, because he gave him a back rub with a steamy massage, man. He's looking for a second one.
No.
That's amazing.
Mike, listen, if you had a chance, would you give Ronaldo a steamy back massage? And
Oh man, whatever he wants, man. Just sign one of those shirts and give it to me so I can make a couple of dollars.
Hey, think about this though. Think about what it's like. Hey, you got a handsome guy, right?
Yeah.
What you talking about me or Ronaldo?
Handsome guy is the best football in the world, right?
Yeah.
You got fans adoring you. I mean, you could sleep with anybody you wanted, right? You could sign with anybody. You could do anything you wanted. You just can't wrap your brain around what that must be like for him. Danny, you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I remember being in an elevator one time, and we came out. Actually, it was a hotel. The elevator was to the kitchen because in the lobby it's a mob. So you know, Mike, you've been with the stars in your industry, and there's always an exit out. And we thought we were out. We went down the elevator. It opens up into the kitchen, and there was a kid dressed number 7 with the earrings, same haircut, exactly. Ronaldo. And Ronaldo looks at me, goes, "It isn't easy being me," So,
man.
But he thrives in those environments, and he's so. I mean, I can tell you some amazing stories. I know we don't have the time for that in terms of the real truth behind Ronaldo. What you see in the brand, what you see in the confidence, and sometimes the arrogance, etc., isn't who he really is behind the scenes. He's an amazing, giving, compassionate person that you'll ever meet.
Danny, I know you shared that story with me personally, and I was just blown away when I heard it. And to take that time, somebody didn't know. To change a kid's life. I mean, it's just an incredible story. Yeah. You always hear the bad things, and press are quick to jump on the bad stories, and they never hear the great things sometimes behind it. But it must be an absolutely an incredible lifetime opportunity for you to just witness that firsthand. Did you ever feel like you wake up one morning or after a game, you say, "Oh my damn, I'm out of my league here. What the hell am I doing on a World Cup team? I'm from Glastonbury, Connecticut, United States." Did you ever feel like that? Like second guess yourself?
Well, the football world made me feel like that. I mean, can you imagine an American-born coach being at the highest international arena? It's unheard of. It's just not possible. But luckily for me, 1993, Portugal national team was in Connecticut playing for the U.S. Cup. And in that tournament, it was Italy, it was Ireland, it was Portugal and U.S. And Coach Kate Oz was a coach at that time. And very few people realize this, but he's a former goalkeeper. So we had something.
No, I didn't know that.
We had something in common. So I simply asked him this question. If Portugal can produce Eusebio, Figo, Cristiano Ronaldo, why can't they produce world-class goalkeepers? And we came both to the conclusion that Portugal's federation didn't have an elite goalkeeper structure to produce elite goalkeepers. So I said, look, I'll pay my way. Just give me an opportunity to work with the best. And his power of persuasion over the federation was, had to be unbelievable, because who would allow that to happen? He convinced them to have me come in, and I was opened the doors into the international arena. So I'm very, very grateful. But I can tell you this, being American born, my father had a Portuguese radio program for 25 years.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that served the Portuguese community here in Hartford. So he had a press pass. In my first training session, all the journalists were behind the goal. And of course, they were all, who is this American? What the heck is he doing here? What is he going to teach us? And they were all ready to crucify me. Still to this day, one of the best sessions I ever had. It was, how it is, Mike. You prepare all your life for that one audition, that one moment. That you don't get that second chance. That's it. And I was the night before on my knees praying to everybody and anything, and to give me the courage to be brave enough to produce. And it was one of the best sessions I ever had. And all the journalists ran to Victor Bahia, who was #1 in Europe and, top 10 or 6 or in the world. They all ran to him. And, hey, what do you think about this American, Dan Gaspar? And he said, He has the standards of professionalism and quality and capacity to coach any goalkeeper anywhere on the planet. So as soon as I got his blessing, all the journalists had to back off because they were ready to eat me alive. And that's how it began.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Mike.
Yeah.
So listen, so let me ask you a question that's always been kind of puzzling for me, okay? How hard is it to write music?
Well, it can be very easy and it can be very hard. I've written a song in a matter of minutes, and then I've worked on songs still working on songs that I started years ago, for example, and I'm still haven't finished it 10, 20 years. So it all depends. A lot of people say that big hits, they usually write them in a few minutes. It just comes out. Words, lyrics, beats. But again, there are some songs that just take forever. And
did you write? Who wrote "Moving"? Your top hit.
Moving, that, believe it or not, pretty much the whole band wrote that, because that song developed from a jam. Now the bass player Wade Williamson came in with the bass line, and we were going to record a different song at the time in the studio, and he started to jam, and then we all started to jam. And the beats and all that. And as we went along, the producer at the time, Jeff Lane, came in, and he was going to do a different song. And then he just told us to keep on. I like that. And move on. And then then it became, at that time, a 20-minute jam session. And back in those days, records were only supposed to be 2 or 3 minutes, no longer than 4 minutes.
Right.
But Move It actually ended up being later on, after we put it out on a single, was a 10-minute jam session. But that's how Moving came about. It was just a jam session. And then it was arranged by Randy Muller. But we all just jammed, and sometimes ideas just come. That wasn't planned at all to be on our first record.
But let me ask you, I got a friend called Elvis on Facebook. He follows me on SoccerCoachTV, and just such absolutely great guys from Chigwell Football Club in England. And he posts poems, and I love his poems. But I'm how hard is it to take a poem and make it into lyrics for a song? Is that a difficult thing? It seems to be like millions of poems out there. How is it not easy to just take a poem and make it into a great folk song?
Because poems and songs are two different things, two different art forms. Again, a poem is pretty much, if you put it in modern terms, poems now are rap music or poems.
What do you think of rap? What do you think of rapping, the music today?
I'm like all grown-up people, when we were playing music, my mother used to tell me, what kind of crap are you playing? And I get old, what is this rap?
Danny, rap songs, overrated, underrated?
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, me neither. I can't even Danny, what is this picture? Explain it to us, please. These pictures.
Well, that's when this year we celebrated 16 years of the game in Japan when we played Once Caldas, FC Porto. And that's immediately after the game when we were crowned champions.
Fantastic. Yes,
that's in the World Cup in South Africa. And I'm actually trying to get a substitute into the game.
Okay.
Same thing. That was in Japan when we were crowned world champions.
Same picture?
Yeah, this isn't South Korea. This is that World Cup replica trophy that I explained earlier to your viewers on the backstory behind that. So that was immediately after the game. And I had that replica trophy in my bag once we beat South Korea, which was a huge upset for us to qualify. This was with the U17 national team. Tab Ramos asked me to come on in, and we were in Czech Republic and we won that tournament.
And obviously the last one, which I love, it's an all-time classic. I love that. So listen, tell me how you got this picture with Ronaldo. Did you have to pay him did you have to give him another back massage in that sauna, Danny, to get that photograph? Or
Yeah, that was a reward. The photo was a reward for the massaging. No, you got to be careful how you time these. It's all about timing. And I'm sure, Mike, and in your industry too, when you're with superstars, everybody wants a piece of them.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful how you approach them, because they're usually very reserved and very on guard and etc. I mean, that picture, I probably had known Ronaldo for 6 months or so before I asked him for that picture. And I spoke to the photographer, our team photographer, and asked him if he would take that photo because I knew the quality would be good. But again, you got to coordinate these things, and you got to hope and cross your fingers that it all works out. In this case, it worked out for me.
Danny and Mike, let me ask you a question right now. What is your favorite all-time Christmas movie?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is for me.
It is? Oh, is that the first one? Come on, Danny. Really, that's the first one?
Well, I always like, and I see it every year, Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist. I love that movie.
Yeah. The Dickens story. I see it every year.
How about It's a Wonderful Life? Do you like that one? I love that one.
Oh, that's my wife's favorite, so I have to watch it with her at least once a year.
Oh, I cry at that. Are you, Mike, are you a crier when you watch soppy movies or what?
Inside, I don't show my emotions, but my wife's crying.
How about you, Danny? You cry a bit?
Yeah. I'm a crier, man. With this, I just had my knee replacement done 4 weeks ago, so I'm watching a lot of movies. I don't know if you guys remember the Notre Dame movie, Rudy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. At the end of it, I'm like bawling.
Yeah.
I have watched that, and I'm not exaggerating, watched that movie 20 times at least, right? I used to show it in a team bus and away trips with the old VHS. I met him. I met the real Rudy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met him before. And he was doing a thing on sports drinks, and I went to this meeting, and there was only me and him together with my son Shane, and we spent half an hour with him. Great guy, super guy. Absolutely. Well, listen, guys. Hey, we've done about an hour show here. This went so fast, when you go live and on the internet like this, when you go live, one fear is always something will go wrong. Because it is live. You put yourself out there, and you lay yourself out there. Listen, guys. First of all, thank you for coming on Soccer Coach TV. I know you've been supporters of what I've done for over a decade, both of you.
Yeah.
From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that. I've told you before in personal conversations that, I'm the point in my coaching career that, I've seen probably nearly every soccer drill that's ever been invented, or a variation of it to some degree. Because that's what I do. I'm a content creator. I'm always looking at other people's stuff, my stuff. And what interests me now in football is people's stories. The insights that great experienced coaches have had, just like you, Danny, who I don't know if that'll be replicated, or I'm sure maybe it might take a long time, but that is not an easy achievement, what you've succeeded to do at the international level. And we're all proud of you, particularly, the USA. They've been a great leader and shown and Mike, with you, I hope young people are inspired by your story and following your footsteps. Not just, you were a soccer coach, a collegiate coach at a very high level. You've embraced what you love, and you can turn back and say, yeah, we made it. We've been on all these hit stars. We've got gold and platinum albums, and we've done this and done that. And, I think that I know I am personally a better person to be in an hour show with you. In your presence, and I appreciate that so much. So listen, on behalf of all my followers, and we're up to about 250,000 followers now on social media.
Well done.
I don't know exactly how many people watch a day, but it'll be in the tens of thousands within the next couple of weeks once it goes on YouTube and Facebook, gets archived there. Danny, I wish you and your family, and Mary, the kids, all the best. Mike, I wish you and your family all the best. Thank you again, and hopefully we can do this in another 10 years.
Thank you very much, Sean. Amazing time. We got to talk some more.
I just want to finish with an announcement. Well, we've got Brandon Kidd here on the show. Brandon is probably one of the top followers and fans and a great coach of Soccer Coach TV. I just want to finish off, guys, by making a big special announcement. It's very important. New Year's Eve at 6 p.m. USA Eastern Time. That will be 11 p.m. European Time in the UK. We have a special show. I'm doing a New Year's Eve 2020 Fan of the Year show. Okay. Wow. So it's my way from Soccer Coach TV to put the lens, not on me, but put the lens on the people who have followed me, encouraged me, who've watched my show, who love the content. It's my way of putting the lens on them as coaches and showing people around the world what they can do and who they coach and their story. So I've selected the top 6 fans of Soccer Coach TV over 2020. 5 of them will be runners-up, and 1 will be the recipient of the Soccer Coach TV Fan of the Year Award. And we sent out a big glass trophy, a crystal trophy for them. And it's going to be, and again, it's not about me, it's about them. It's about, I want to hear their stories. And we've got 3 of the finalists are from the UK. Okay. And we've got 2 finalists from the United States and 1 finalist from Puerto Rico. And they're all going to be on the show live, and we're going to talk, and it's our way to celebrate. It's the fan show, and they're going to meet each other for the first time. A lot of them exchange, stuff on Facebook. But I think it's just a great way, guys, of just, saying to my fans, thank you so much. It's all about you. I'll finish with this, Danny. My true fans, I said this on Facebook the other day, my true heroes are not Pepe, Klopp, Mourinho, all these guys. My true heroes are those people who work at the lowest level of the pyramid or different levels of pyramids, who give up almost for nothing, who work day in, day out, working with these kids, limited facilities often, but they are the true people that build the game. Without them, there would be no Ronaldo, there would be no Messi, there would be that. And so it's my way of saying, putting a spotlight on them and saying thank you to these guys. So tune in next week. I think you'll enjoy it. Danny, Mike, thank you so much. We'll see you soon, my friends.
All right.
I say that we're going to be leaving Soccer Coach TV in 3, 2, 1. Love you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Soccer Coach TV, where coaches live.